What if I told you there's a secret formula, a blueprint, really, for making any topic, no matter how complex or, let's be honest, kind of dry, completely unforgettable?
I mean, think about it. Some of the most complicated subjects you can imagine, right? Quantum physics, 18th century philosophy, that kind of stuff. How in the world do you make that stick in someone's brain? Well, turns out it's not magic. There's actually a blueprint for it.
So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're cracking the code on one of the most effective educational formulas out there, the script structure behind Crash Course. You know, that series that's taught millions of us things we thought were way too intimidating to ever understand.
And here's the fun part. What you just experienced, that was it. That was the hook and the formal introduction. Yep, that's right. We're already using the formula to explain the formula. Pretty meta, huh? Now, let's dive into the rest of this thing. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture, the whole blueprint. Then we'll zoom in on the art of the hook. After that, we'll get into the core of it all with the structured deep dive. Then, the really cool part, turning facts into meaning. And finally, we'll learn how to nail the perfect landing. All right, Section 1, the Crash Course Blueprint. So, what is this thing, really? Well, at its core, it's all about having a reliable, repeatable structure. And its real power, it comes from this brilliant, super organized, and predictable flow that honestly just keeps you locked in and wanting to learn more. And here it is, the whole 5-step shebang. First, you've got the hook to spark curiosity. Then, the formal intro to set the stage. Step 3 is the deep dive. That's where you get the core info. Then synthesis. This is where you connect it all to the big ideas. And finally, the wrap-up to give you that nice sense of closure. Simple, right? Let's start at the top. Okay, let's talk about the hook. Look, you've got maybe 5 seconds tops to convince someone to stick around. That's it. So you can't really ease into it. You gotta start with a bang. And that's exactly what the hook is for. And they have a few go-to moves. This isn't random. It's totally strategic. They might hit you with a provocative question that just makes you think, I never thought about that. Or maybe they'll pull you in with a dramatic little story from history. Or they'll create a hypothetical scenario that puts you right there in the moment. So once you've got them hooked, it's time for the main event, the structured deep dive. Now, this is where the real teaching happens, but here's the crucial part. It is never just a data dump. It's more like a really well-planned journey through all the key information. And funny enough, in their original scripts, the core of this section is literally called the curly notes. I love that. It's this recurring segment that's designed to give you a super focused summary of one specific concept. It's basically the anchor for the whole episode. And this is key. They always let you know it's coming. They'll use a special graphic, or the music will shift, or the host will kind of change their tone to signal, okay, pay attention, this is the main point. That little signpost helps you lock in and really absorb what's most important. All right, moving on to what I think is the magic step. This is where a good explanation becomes a truly great one. See, it's one thing to just list off a bunch of facts. It's something else entirely to make those facts matter, and that's the power of synthesis. Think about it like this. The formula takes a tiny specific detail, like, I don't know, one little detail of an AI policy, and connects it to a massive universal question, like the future of human survival. That's the leap right there. That's how you go from just information to real insight. And this is so intentional. It's all about finding that big universal truth hiding inside a small specific detail. It's about bridging that gap between just knowing something and really understanding why it matters in the grand scheme of things. Okay, so you've taken your audience on this incredible journey, right? From a great hook all the way to a profound insight. Now you've got to stick the landing. And to do that, the formula has a super structured wrap-up. It's a 4-part combo that works every single time. First, you do a quick recap to make sure the main points stick. Second, you drop a little teaser for the next episode to keep them coming back for more. Third, you roll the credits. And fourth, and this is important, a real heartfelt thank you to the team and the community. That's how you build loyalty. So, okay, we've seen all the pieces, we've got the whole blueprint laid out. But the big question is, why? Why does this 5-step formula work so darn well? What's the psychology behind it?
Well, here's the breakdown. For one, that predictable structure actually makes it easier on our brains. It lowers the cognitive load, which makes us feel comfortable and more open to learning new things. But even bigger than that, all 5 steps together create a classic story arc. A beginning, a middle, and an end. It literally turns information into a memorable story.
So, you know what's coming next, right? Following the very formula we've been breaking down, it's time for us to bring it all home. Let's do a quick recap of the blueprint. It really just boils down to these 5 things. You hook them, you introduce the topic, you do the deep dive, you synthesize it to make it meaningful, and then you wrap it all up with a perfect landing. Hook, intro, deep dive, synthesis, wrap up. That's it.
And look, this is so much bigger than just how one YouTube series makes videos. This is a powerful, reusable blueprint for communication. Seriously, whether you're teaching a class, giving a presentation at work, or just trying to explain something you're passionate about, you now have the tools to make it unforgettable.
So we've laid out the blueprint for you. The real question is, now that you know the formula, what story are you going to tell? Go build something amazing. Thanks for watching.